Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're connecting from, or for those who will be one day watching the recording of this. I'm Lisa Reichert. I am the Career and Professional Development Lead on the People and Organization Development team at UC Berkeley. I use she, her pronouns. I am also the co-chair of the NOW conference, and I am delighted to be your moderator for today's session. And I have the pleasure of welcoming everybody to Redefining Failure, the Path to Flawsome Confidence, presented by Michele Molitor. So with that, I am delighted to introduce our presenter, Michele Molitor, who is a transformational coach, a clinical hypnotherapist, and a best-selling author with deep expertise in addressing the unprecedented levels of stress and anxiety impacting today's workplaces. As CEO of Nectar Consulting, Michele leverages her rapid rewiring methodology, a trauma-informed approach combining neuroscience, positive psychology, somatic and mindfulness practices to empower individuals and teams to overcome anxiety, self-doubt, and workplace stress. Michele is the co-author of I Am Perfectly Flawsome, How Embracing Imperfection Makes Us Better, and its companion journal. Her talks on imposter syndrome, perfectionism, and burnout provide proven strategies to enhance confidence, foster work-life balance, and improve well-being. Welcome, Michele, and take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be here with you today. So when life breaks you, it's because you are ready to be put back together differently. Every piece of you that feels shattered is a piece that will find a new place, a new purpose, a new meaning. Trust that the cracks are where the light gets in. And sometimes in our brokenness, we find our greatest wholeness. We find the courage to rebuild, to reimagine, to redefine what it means to be strong. You are not broken. You are breaking through. Unknown. So who here is perfect? Or dare I say flawless? Anybody? Yeah. Well, it's interesting because how often do we expect ourselves to be perfect? Or do we expect others to be perfect, right? Seems like a bit of a double standard, don't you think? Now, we could probably have a very rich discussion on the origins of those double standards, but we will save that for another day. What we're going to be talking about today is the key to redefining failure by embracing your flawed awesomeness. You see, we have all failed at times. We have been cracked or even broken, right? It might seem. Yet you're here, which tells me you're also brilliant and resilient, like this kintsugi bowl that's been put back together and is more beautiful because of it. And those failures and setbacks in life that have caused the cracks and the broken bits, they've left a mark. They've left a mark on your nervous system that has manifested itself in a variety of ways that are potentially holding you back from being your most awesome, authentic version of yourself. You see, those negative beliefs about yourself and the fears that are impairing your career success are creating blinders, preventing you from seeing all that is available to you. So hi, I'm Michele Molitor, and this is going to be the most perfectly flawsome conversation today because we are all flawed and awesome, all at the same time. But let me ask you, have you ever been situationally confident? Maybe in some situations you're fierce and fully self-expressed, yet in others you hold yourself back, caught in a swirl of confusion, self-doubt, or worse, anxiety, which keeps you from playing full out and is hurting your career or your effectiveness as a leader. Or perhaps you felt like a part of you has been cracked or broken under pressure into 1,000 pieces from failure, causing you to silently suffer, leaving you feeling not enough in some way. And when we feel cracked or broken or not enough in some way, it's hard to stand in your confidence, to speak your truth. So raise your digital hand if you agree. Do you think I'm the only one, or is this more prevalent than we might imagine? So imagine for just a moment, how would you move through the world differently if you weren't afraid of failing? If you could reframe failure in a way that could help you stand more confidently, believing in yourself, and just be you. What would life be like from this place if you didn't have to have it all figured out or to be perfect in some way, shape, or form? How much time, energy, peace of mind would you have to give to other things that truly matter to you? Your family, your career, your purpose, your passions. What's possible from this perspective? Fierce confidence that exudes from every cell, every fiber of your being, joy, I would even dare say. That's what's possible when you redefine failure and unlock the power of you. Now, life shows up though sometimes, right? Have you ever been singled out unexpectedly, called out on the carpet, or worse, bullied by someone at work or at home or at school at some point in your life? Anyone else here like me who's been caught like a deer in the headlights and your brain just freezes, right? You have no words. It happens to the best of us, right? Let me tell you about Adam. He was a colleague of mine. I was technically his boss back in the days when I was a creative director in Silicon Valley. And he got up all in my face one day saying some hateful, awful things, things that don't need repeating. And he did this in front of my whole team, publicly shaming me, leaving me with a flood of emotions. I felt like I had been bowled over by his words. I was pretty stunned and shocked in the moment, quite frankly. Now, there were 1,000 things running through my head at this time, but no words were coming out of my mouth. And then I realized everyone was watching, making it 1,000 times worse. It was humiliating and demoralizing, leaving me caught in a spin of just wondering, what the heck? What happened here? Right? And it created a massive case of imposter syndrome, of perfectionism, corporate PTSD. Now, it took me a long time to even talk about this without getting triggered. But I decided many years ago that my mission was bigger than my fear. My mission to help professionals walk confidently in their power, to reclaim their voice. You see, what happened in that moment with Adam is my amygdala hijacked my brain. Has this ever happened to you? Leaving you without any words to communicate what's racing through your mind? Well, let me introduce you to my dear friend, Amy. Amy G. Dalla. She's that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flop part of your limbic brain, little lizard lady living there in the back of your brain. And her sole purpose is just to keep you safe and alive and on the planet. Yet Amy rendered me utterly speechless that day, while all the confidence I thought I had drained right out of my body, filling me with fear and anxiety and a flood of self-doubt, leaving me spinning in that cloud of confusion. And it was such a horrible moment. One I won't forget for so many reasons, but mostly because it changed the trajectory of my career and I didn't even know it at the time. If you've ever been bullied, then you know how terrible it feels. The rejection, the fear, the anger that bubbles up, the hurt, the list goes on. Just nod your head or give me a mm-hmm in the chat if you've ever experienced anything like this. Well, today let's talk about how you can redefine those painful, terrible, embarrassing moments of your life that you decided you were a failure. So you can step back into your power, releasing your fears and any toxic perfectionism that might have come from it, transforming that into flossom confidence. Let's reclaim your power and turn that self-doubt that might be causing that debilitating perfectionism or even imposter syndrome. Let's turn it into something more powerful, retraining Amy, who technically just wants to keep you safe, yet perhaps has silenced your voice for fear of being criticized or judged. Yes. So for those of you who don't know me yet, as Lisa mentioned, I'm a master coach. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, speaker, and co-author of I Am Perfectly Flawsome. And my joy, my passion is helping folks like you reclaim your confidence, your voice, and fully own your authentic genius and talents without apology, friends. Right? Because as you release that emotional residue that is caught in your mind, your heart, and your nervous system, or as I like to call it, the emotional junk in your trunk, right? We all have it, but as you learn to let go of it, you stand more powerfully in who you are and all the brilliance that you have to share. Now, I wasn't always this confident version of myself. After getting bullied out of my high-tech career, thank you, Adam, my confidence was crushed. And it left me with an unnerving case of imposter syndrome and perfectionism, terrified to hand my resume to anybody, which isn't so great as a career move, right? That catalytic event left me filled with so much shame, I could barely even talk about it. And to make matters worse, the day I got let go, I went home and I called my mom. Mom, I lost my job today. My mom's response, honey, I'm sorry. Our friend Al is dying. And in that moment, my whole worldview changed. So what? I lost my job. My dear friend was losing his life. And just a few days later, he passed away. Now, the tragedy of this is that he didn't have to die. He could have taken the cocktail of drugs that would have extended his life, but he was too afraid to be who he was, a gay man in a small town, and he let himself go. And it breaks my heart every time I share the story because he was such a dear soul. And so that day, I made a promise to myself and to Al and to Spirit above that I was not going to live my life from a place of fear, if nothing else, to honor his. And that perfect storm, it ultimately led me to discover the power of coaching and hypnotherapy to help me release my fear and anxiety from my nervous system. And what I unexpectedly found in the process was my passion for being of service to helping others reclaim their confidence and their voice too, to become unshakable in all aspects of your life and your career. And so instead of handing my resume to anybody, I pivoted my career and created my own company almost 25 years ago, helping others to release their suffering and anxiety. Because wouldn't you agree that life is too short to live from a place of fear? So today we're going to be talking about how to identify failure that leads to perfectionism. We're going to discover the steps to reframing your failures and learn how to change your mind about it with a few powerful exercises, right? Because we all have these challenges, these thought loops that run in our minds that get in our way, right? And then we'll have some Q&A at the end. So as we get ready to dive in fully, be sure to take out your favorite note-taking device, put your cell phone on silent, and bring your seat tray and table back to the full upright position as you bring your full self to the conversation today. Because the more present you are, the more you'll walk away with. And more importantly, this one conversation could change your life. So who here has heard of kintsugi? Anybody? Yeah. It's the Japanese art and philosophy of golden repair dating back to the 15th century. And this art form takes broken pottery, putting it back together, then painting the cracks meticulously with gold dust, making the mended piece more beautiful, more valuable than before. Treating the breakage and repair as part of its history rather than something that's ugly that needs to be disguised or hidden. Well, today we're going to be embracing these kintsugi principles, specifically wabi-sabi, celebrating the imperfections in everything. Ganbate, always giving your best. Kaizen, continuous improvement. And shikati ganai, letting go and accepting what we cannot change. These are reminders to do our own work on our path to become a practicing flossomist, right? Because improvement, not perfection, is the goal. So raise your hand if at some point in your life or career you've ever felt less than, not good enough, or not worthy and deserving of the success that you have earned. Look at that. You're not alone, right? We are all perfectly imperfect, and we have good days and bad days. I know I used to feel this way too. Getting knocked out of what I thought was my dream job, that corner office, right, is devastating to me. My ego had a really hard time with it. I felt like I had been kicked off the dot-com bus without warning. And yet it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. That perceived failure cracked me open, helping me discover a whole new set of skills and talents I didn't even know I possessed, and a joyful career that I had never even dreamed of because I redefined that failure. And when I did, it literally changed the trajectory of my life. So imagine what's waiting for you on the other side of healing your cracks and wounds and perceived failures. The wound is where the light enters you, Rumi. You see, we all have cracks and wounds within us. Many of them are healed, some maybe not quite yet. However, when we can learn to mend those cracks and our wounds with gold, with self-love and value and worth, to stand inherently in your dignity and to walk in your power, that is the way to speak your truth, to reclaim your confidence, to expand it, to sit more comfortably, authentically in your own skin. And as you do that, you will be more resilient. You will feel more empowered to shine brightly, to share your unique gifts and talents with the world. And in the process, reducing the silent suffering of stress and anxiety and depression that has created a mental health crisis in our country and around the world. Would that be a value to you? Give me an emoji or a yes over there in the chat if this is resonating with you so far, right? Anybody else have a few cracks or wounds that you're trying to fix, right? Why do you think I do this work? It's always about being the best version of myself, right? Anybody else here also qualify themselves as a perfectionist to some degree or another, right? Maybe a little bit, maybe a medium bit, maybe a whole lot of bit of perfectionist, right? Thank you. I love you, right? You're all my people. I like to think of myself as a recovering perfectionist. Now, I get it. This is a beautiful room full of high-performing professionals with great, amazing standards of delivery and execution. But did you know that sometimes, just sometimes, those past failures have led us to wearing a guise of striving for excellence, which is actually toxic perfectionism, fueled by the fears and shame of past failures. So let's look at the research of this. What would you guess is the percentage of people who are affected by perfectionism? Just type in the chat. What do you think that percentage might be? People who are impacted by perfectionism. Anybody? 80, 100, 75. Y'all are close, right? It is, whoops, I went too far. Go back. See, now you got all the answers ahead of time. I got to click on this screen. There we go. 92%. It's Flawsome, right? And what would you guess it is specifically for men versus women, right? 77% of men versus 85% of women feel they need to be perfect, right? And then a 2022 survey revealed that 38% of men versus 47% of women believe that failing a task or project makes them a failure as a person, right? So if you've ever suffered, there we go. I get it right. My animations are great until they don't work when I want them to. So if you've ever suffered from a perfectionistic panic attack out of nowhere, well, then you know how debilitating it can be, right? When Amy takes over your brain and that fear of being fully seen and judged, right? Hijacking you completely. I worked with a young woman last year who literally her performance anxiety was so bad, her fingers and her feet and her hands would go numb. She couldn't walk, she couldn't play the piano, right? It was a big problem. But we managed to move all that out of the way because we're able to shift her thinking and redefine the thoughts that she was thinking. So, what's the cost? What happens when Kaizen, continuous improvement, morphs into this internal dialogue of, I'm not good enough, right? Well, that fear of failure, it fuels perfectionism and unrealistic standards that we set for ourselves, which can really stall your career growth if you're not careful. Perfectionism becomes a shield, right? If I just get it right, then I'll be protected, right? But that trying to get it right is a preemptive attempt to avoid failure, but it comes back. It comes at a cost of chronic stress and burnout. Procrastination and paralysis can set in to avoid failure and lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical illness. I'll just get to it tomorrow, but then you stress yourself out so much that it leads to these physical manifestations. And external validation then becomes the essential self-worth, right? Becomes tied to performance. So approval from others temporarily soothes the fear. It's the salve that makes us feel better, but over time it leads to chronic people-pleasing, overachievement, and burnout. Anybody familiar with any of these, right? According to Brené Brown, perfectionism is a way to armor up against shame and feelings of being unworthy. And this silent suffering contributes to these mental health struggles of addiction, of anxiety, or worse, for millions of people. So let's define failure. How would you define failure? Drop some thoughts in the chat for me, right? Now, as you're doing this, how many of you took just a brief moment, a nostalgic trip to a moment that screamed fail in your life, right? Pay attention to those feelings that are bubbling up. It's primary in my head, inability to complete a goal, first attempt in learning. Oh, I love that one, right? Giving up, not being understood. Yeah, these are all great. An irreversible mistake. Yeah. Notice the meanings too that you gave to those moments in life where you felt like you failed. So let's look to see what Webster has for us, right? A lack of success, the omission of expected or required action, or the action or state of not functioning. You see, failure is the opposite of success, signifying that something did not achieve its intended purpose or goal. It's kind of like the yin and yang of life, if you will, right? Not meeting expectations. This can refer to not fulfilling a requirement, a promise, or a standard of performance. Or breakdown or dysfunction can also describe as something where things just malfunction or deteriorates or ceases to operate properly, right? Whether that's things and objects or how your body's even working, right? So how does failure lead us to a state of perfectionism, a habit of perfectionism? Well, as we stated earlier, our brains think that if we can just get it perfect, we won't fail. But I have a hard truth for you, my friends. Even when things do go perfect, failure still sometimes occurs. The Titanic submersible comes to mind, for example. Not a great ending, right? Yet, who are we to judge what is perfect or constitutes success or failure? Wouldn't you agree that one of the gifts of imperfection, of not fully succeeding, is truly embracing that perfection is in the eye of the beholder? It is our varying perspectives on perfection, on success and failure that make us unique. It makes life interesting, don't you think? And so can failure, right? What one person considers a failure, another might see it as just a stepping stone to success. Thomas Edison was famously quoted as saying, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work," right? Now, sadly, we live in a world that is filled with judgment and critiques. Everybody got an opinion today, right? But the point is to understand that there is accuracy in areas of life, right? I get that, especially with the work that you all are doing, but I'm pointing to the unattainable perfection we're chasing, expecting within ourselves is what's always required. It's not. It's not. The imperfections with each of us, the people that you meet are within yourself, right? These are the things that matter, especially when you're dealing with yourself, right? Imagine how much freedom it would give us if we weren't constantly trying to be better than or trying to prove our value and worth to the world, right? Instead of just being fully who you are, completely, authentically, perfectly imperfect, flawsome, just as we are and just as we aren't. Because if you believe like me, from this Flossom perspective, we make room for greater acceptance, belonging, and connection with ourselves and with others in the workplace, helping us to individually and collectively to foster that beautiful, beautiful thing of respect, of dignity, of joy. And Flossom perspectives are the antidote to toxic perfectionism and the key to transforming failure into new ideas, creativity, and confidence, fueling our resiliency in light of failure, right? So, question for you: what do you think is more beautiful and better because of its imperfections in yourself, in your career, in your life? Take a moment to write it down, right? Write it down. Notice any negative self talk that might be bubbling up as you do that, right? My personal favorite is the one white whisker on my all black cat and my own little white whisker, right? So feel free to drop in the chat what's coming up for you, right? Or not. It's totally up to you what you care to share because we're always at choice. Wrinkles, I like to call these strands of wisdom that my hairdresser covers up so beautifully for me. Right? Yeah, you get to just notice, where are you getting down on yourself because you're not perfect, right? We are all quirky and unique. Thank you, Monica, right? We have quirky bits in our personalities. My home that was built in 1950, the cracks on the walls and the creaky floors. Yep, I have one of those too. My house was built in 47, right? The silver glitter in my hair. Life is not perfect, so we can recognize and appreciate those perfect moments. Yes, right? Absolutely. I love it. Scars from getting into a car accident. Yeah, we all have scars, whether they're visible on the outside or on the inside. Yeah. So let's bring this toxic perfection a bit more to focus, right? To see how, if your high standards of perfectionism, of trying to get it right to avoid failure, are preventing that next pound fail, right? Are they have those actions and behaviors, have they quietly crossed over into land of toxicity, either personally or professionally, right? So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. So I want everybody to raise your digital hands, right? So go ahead and raise your digital hands. So there's a little button on the bottom of your Zoom screen. Raise your digital hands. I want to see all the little digital hands going up, right? There we go. Got it. Got it. Keep going. I see them all. That's beautiful. So with every yes answer, you're going to keep your little digital hand up. And for every no answer, you're going to take it down. Put it up, take it down, whatever works for you, right? All right. Here we go. So, at any point in your life, have you ever endured a toxic environment where you were bullied, harassed, leaving you feeling at any point in your life? Have you ever to achieve perfection and overcome a past failure to feel seen, heard, and appreciated? Ready? Yep. I know that one really well too. And number 3, at your life, stress, anxiety, or even physical illness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look at all those hands that are up, my friends. Or the absence of hands that are down. I want you to see how you are not alone. Now, before we move on, I want everybody to sit on the edge of your seat, plant your feet, right? Whether you're on camera or off camera. And I want you to applaud yourself for standing tall and your confidence for all you've overcome. I want you to strike your very best power pose, your Zoom power pose. Woo, I did this, right? I got my Wonder Woman hip thing going on, my Superman pose. Yes, right? I love it. Thank you, Monica. I can see you. I love it. These are great, y'all. Because as you do that, you can feel your own strength and resilience in every cell and every fiber of your being. And I want you to remember that feeling. You see, because no matter what your age, your race, your sexual orientation, or even your country of origin, we have all faced these debilitating beliefs and thoughts at some point, right? And it also shows you that you never know who might be quietly suffering, even with a smile on their face, despite their fears and their challenges. And perfectionism can be directly tied to addiction, workaholism, depression, and sadly, even suicide. So notice how those questions landed for you and what perhaps they stirred up for you, right? How do you think these previous wounds have been impacting your career, your confidence, your collaboration, even your abilities as a leader? For me, I was terrified to go into corporate America for over a decade, right? Those wounds, those scars, they run deep, right? But it doesn't have to always be that way. You can heal your heart, I promise. Now, if I were to ask anyone here what they don't like about themselves, right, we're sure to get a list of all sorts of characteristics and flaws that run the gamut from one end of the spectrum to the other. And these perceived defects or inadequacies about ourselves, such as I'm too much, or I might fail, or I'm not ready yet, or who am I, or I'm not enough in some way, shape, or form, are often the result of the emotional residue left behind from our childhood and previous traumas. These false truths and imprints about ourselves were left on our brains by past failures or thoughtless comments from someone close to us. These same misconceptions then can often overflow into the beliefs and perspectives and ideas that we have about others as well, and their ways of being or behaving in the world. All of which can easily create a cascade of negative dialogue about ourselves and about others, which can very quickly lead to breakdowns in your career, your communications, your relationships. Any of this sounding maybe a bit familiar? For example, This can present itself as someone who is highly critical or judgment of others, yet wholeheartedly believes that their position is right, leaving them with their heels dug in and absolutely immovable on a point. Have you ever worked with anyone like that? Have you ever been anyone like that? Remember, this is a judgment-free zone here today. So just notice with some self-compassion and loving kindness. I know I've been that person before, right? So what's at the root of it? What causes us to get trapped in these flawed ideals to this extreme perfectionistic thinking and can have these far-reaching impact personally and professionally? Well, simply put, it's a trauma response. It's a response to having our dignity violated that causes us to go into perfectionistic overdrive and stay safe, right? Remember our friend Amy G. Dalla? She's just trying to keep you safe. But that childhood trauma or abuse or neglect in small or large ways can easily contribute to the development of perfectionism because it's a coping mechanism to gain control over one's environment, simply to feel safe, often leading to other mental health challenges such as low self-esteem, low self-worth, or feeling inadequate, which may feed the need to be perfect just to gain acceptance and approval from others. Thinking our value is only measured by our achievements, right? So how do we remedy this? How can we embrace our past failures and imperfections and decrease our failures and decrease our stress levels, right? Well, you become a practicing flossomist, right? You see, after decades of research and practice with folks from all over the world, I've uncovered these powerful principles. Remember our guiding principles of wabi-sabi and shikati ganai? Celebrate imperfections and letting go and accepting what we cannot change? Well, it starts merely by embracing your failures. So let's redefine, let's bust the myths about failure. So it's no longer a four-letter word, shall we? So myth number one, failure is a sign of incompetence. Oof, nobody likes that word, right? Especially when you say it to yourself, right? It has a sting to it, right? But the truth is, failure teaches you things that success can't, right? A pound fail is really just a no, not that kind of moment. It's kind of like dating, right? Sometimes you just have to swipe left on those failures and keep moving forward, learning what you need to learn, right? It helps you see what doesn't work so you can find the thing that actually does work for you. Successful people don't fail. Myth number two. Truth is, embracing failure makes us stronger and wiser and more resilient because each time you fail, you have an opportunity to regroup, to move forward again, becoming a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Think of Simone Biles and her infamous case of the twisties, only to come back as the goat of all goats at the Summer Olympics, right? So when you take time to review, revise, and recommit to your goals, this is paramount to getting you from where you are to where you want to be, right? I get it. Being in the pit of failure can be brutal and challenging, but reviewing what worked and what didn't will help you learn from those mistakes. And these insights will help you choose to recover and recover more quickly, right? You're always at choice. So from there, your path forward can be more clear and concise as you trust your intuition, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and set your sights back on your goal, right? Focusing on your why behind it and keep going. This is the path to becoming Flossom, my friends. Myth number three, failure should be avoided at all cost. Thank you, Amy. Truth is, embracing failure opens you up to recognizing new opportunities. Because when you fail, it's often like you've hit a brick wall. You can't seem to go beyond it. You don't know what to do, right? You get stuck. But what do? Instead, you go exploring, of course. You ask questions. You get curious. What worked? What didn't work? Because if you're not afraid of failure, you can easily find new opportunities, new ways to knock down that wall or go up and over it, around it, to reach your next destination along your path of learning and growth. And if need be, you can sit in your puddle of muddle, feeling sorry for your failure and the mistakes made. Happens, right? Yet when you do, I strongly encourage you to limit your time there for a finite period of time, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Take all the time you need, but then pick yourself up and imagine the new doors and possibilities that can open up and present themselves on the other side of that pound fail. Most likely ones that you never even imagined were available to you. And myth number 4, failure is permanent. No. Truth is, complete failure forces you to think outside of the box. After all, whatever those limiting beliefs are, right, that kept you in this mentally constructed box, has shown you it won't help you succeed in that particular format. So by acknowledging that reality, that this is what's so in this moment, right, you're forced to stop and look around and find a different path forward. That's the beauty of embracing failure when it does happen. Where others only see the 4 walls of the box, those who don't fear failure find a way past their self-imposed walls and get moving in a new direction. Or you'll figure out how to eliminate the box altogether, to find fresh new perspectives needed to make your way forward again, right? And you'll form new mental habits that will carry you through challenges to future successes. Sometimes it's the universe's way of redirecting you on your path to the thing you're really supposed to be doing. Albeit it's painful in the moment, I get it. So as you uncover the learning that comes from these failures of life, large and small, then you're on your way to becoming, embracing your flossomeness. Remember, your greatest source of pain is often your greatest source of passion and purpose. So here's a question for you to ponder, right? I want you to jot this down or drop it in the chat if you'd like, right? What pound fail have you experienced that has taught you an invaluable pound lesson, moving you in a new fulfilling direction in your life and your career? And how has that crack in your history, how does it now empower your confidence, your value, and worth? Write it down for yourself, right? I want you to see, like, wow, this happened. It was horrible, but I overcame it. And look where I am now, right? Returning, running into that .com wall, right? For me, was super painful, crushed my ego, but it led me to a much more fulfilling path that uses all of my talents and creativity, right? So just notice, you get to see what's coming up for you. So, what are the keys to breaking free? You got to remember, the first step is self-awareness, right? And with awareness comes new perspectives. And with new perspectives comes positive change. One little tiny flossom step at a time, as you reset your habits of mind, enabling you to stretch the edges of your comfort zone more and more as you move through life in your career with greater confidence and joy and satisfaction. You see, with greater self-awareness comes greater, higher emotional intelligence, which raises your awareness of others, helping you to unlock your excellence, to enhance your communications, expand your abilities to collaborate with others as you move through the world with greater confidence, right? So you might be wondering though, well, how do I do this, Michelle? How do I start to change my mind, to change my perspective? What can I do right now to adopt a flossom mindset? Well, you start by changing the channel. You start by realizing that negative thoughts are just energy, right? They're not hard and fast truths about who you are. So then you can step into a new place of choice of what thoughts to tune into, just like the radio. Remember when you used to have those in our cars? And you can harness the power of your mind to become a practicing flossmist. So, with the help of a volunteer, I'm going to walk you through a really powerful exercise in just the next few minutes, right? And you'll have access to the full worksheet for this exercise when you move to your coaching session at the top of the hour. So, who would like to come off mute and do this exercise with me? It'll take just a few minutes, and I know you're going to love it. So, uh, raise your digital hand. Lisa, help me out if we see that hand that I'm not seeing. Who would like to volunteer to come work with me? I promise it won't hurt.
I see several hands up. Sanchita, would you like to volunteer? I see your hand is up.
Great.
That you are on mute.
Can you, let's see.
How about Lisa, laughter? I see your hand is up.
Sure.
All right,
Okay,
great.
great. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for playing along with me. Okay. So, are you ready to change your mind about something?
Sure.
Okay, so if you can share with me what's one negative thought that runs through your mind on repeat, it's on a loop. It might sound like I'm not enough, or who am I, or I'm gonna get it wrong. What's a negative thought that loops through your mind that gets in your way sometimes?
Isn't that all the above? Not enough. Like that
I'm
I'm
not
just
enough.
not enough. Yeah.
Okay, great. So when you think that thought, I'm not enough, right? How does it make you feel when you think that thought?
Disappointed in myself or um I'm trying to think of a feeling that's not enough. Just yeah, down. Yeah, frustrated.
Okay. Down, frustrated, disappointed. And when you feel down, frustrated, disappointed, and you're thinking, I'm not enough, what kind of behaviors or actions did those feelings and thoughts then provoke?
Doing more so I can prove that I'm enough.
Okay. Yeah. So you work hard. I'm going to prove myself, right? I used to have that tape. I get it. Right. And so when you're caught in that, if I just do more and if I just prove myself, then maybe I'll be enough. But then what is that doing more? How does that cause you to feel or believe about yourself?
When I do too much, then I don't do as well. Like I'm not trying to be perfect, but I don't do it as well as I could have if I didn't do as much.
Yeah. So then you get caught in overdoing, and then your energy gets depleted, it sounds like.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I want everybody to just notice Lisa's kind of energy right now. It's like, oh, right? It feels kind of heavy, doesn't it? Right? So don't worry, I'm not going to leave you there in the pit. So we're going to take that thought, I'm not enough, and we're going to flip it around, right? We're going to flip it around to its exact positive opposite. What is that exact positive opposite of I'm not enough? What does that then become?
I am enough.
I am enough, right? So when you say that, I am enough, when you think that I am enough, how does that feel?
I want to believe it, but I've this has been something I've been working on for a very long time, and it's still there. It's still
Got
there. Still,
got
yeah.
okay, got it. And so that's very common, right? I want to believe it. I want to believe it, but I'm still not quite sure. So I want you to suspend reality for just a moment, right? And if you could really stand in that thought of I am enough, how would that feel? If you like really owned it.
I feel more confident and peaceful and calm.
Yeah, calm, confident, peaceful. And what actions or behaviors would calm, confident, peaceful, I am enough Lisa, what would she be doing?
Less instead of more. Yeah, I'd be doing less. Yeah, I
Yeah,
give a lot of time away.
yeah. So you'd have more of that energy for yourself and the things that really matter to you, it sounds like.
Mm.
Yeah?
Yeah, more taking care of myself. I'm pretty good at taking care of myself, but I could be better.
Okay. And so if you're taking better care of yourself, then how will that feel?
Like honoring of me, of my body, of my enoughness, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So sit up straight, take a deep breath in, and say, I am enough.
Mm.
Like it's a declaration.
It's almost like I can't say those words. It's very interesting. I am
Yeah.
enough. I am enough.
I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. I used to, before I believed this, I used to drive around the Bay Area because I had clients all over. And I had this little silly song I would sing to myself. I am enough. I am enough. Right. And the more you repeat it, the stronger those neural pathways become. And you start to rewire your brain with these new belief structures. So thank you for participating with me. I appreciate it. I want you to take this to heart and just start singing that your own version of that I am enough song. Okay. All right. Everybody give her a big hand. Yay, thank you, Lisa. I am enough, Lisa. Woohoo. Right? That's fantastic. So, as we start to wrap things up here, how do you want to redefine failure now? Right? Drop those thoughts in the chat for me. How do you want to redefine failure now? Right? This is how I've redefined it. Right? I can get this to come up. There we go. Fueling ambition, inspiring learning, unlocking resilience and empowerment. That's what failure is for me now, because every misstep ignites the drive to push forward. Every ambition, every setback sharpens your goals and your aspirations. Challenges motivate innovative thinking and perseverance. Each learning experience offers lessons that contribute to your personal growth. As you unlock and overcome obstacles, it reveals your inner strength and potential. And greater resilience allows you to bounce back and builds mental toughness and ability as you empower and embrace failures to lead with greater confidence and autonomy. That's how you redefine failure, my friends. So isn't it time for you to embrace your authentic self? Because when you learn to embrace your failures, filling those cracks and wounds with gold, with self love and compassion, then you become kinder, more confident, more resilient from the inside out. And from this place, you're inspired to communicate and lead with dignity, with greater acceptance, belonging, and connection, right? Helping you to be a force for good in the world. And that is priceless. Someday starts now. Unlock the power of you. It's time. Thank you, everyone. So let's connect. If you're curious, feel free to reach out. And if you're feeling anxious, then please come join me for Mindful Minute Mondays, every Monday at noon Pacific time. It's free for anyone who would like to join us for 30 minutes of guided meditation. So thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to have been here with you today. What questions can I answer for you? Anybody? Just come off mute. Thanks for the love, Lisa. I appreciate that.
Michelle, I have a
Well,
question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Cassia.
Hi, Cassia.
I'm so well, first of all, I'm so grateful that you shared your time with us. It was amazing to see how we all feel. It's like it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's so powerful. Thank you so much. I'm curious uh, to hear from you on this on your journey. How do you how do you redefine perfectionism nowadays?
I redefine it as flawsome, right? We are all flawed and awesome, right? We all make mistakes. No one, nothing is perfect except maybe nature. And even nature in her perfection is perfectly imperfect, right? And so giving yourself that grace, that loving kindness to know, I did my best today. I've noticed in my own self-talk how it used to be, I'm not enough, or, oh, I got it wrong, or, oh gosh, what was I thinking? To now it's become, well, I did my best today. I did my best today, even when it wasn't great. I did my best today because that's what I had to bring. So give yourself that love and kindness and keep moving forward. So
Thank
thank you,
you.
Cassia.
Thank you.
Oh, my sincere pleasure. And remember, be flawsome tomorrow as you move through the conference. Have all the perfectly imperfect conversations that your little heart can muster. I love it. Thanks. Have a beautiful day. Blessings.